In this video, I will be reading the article Pandas and Endangered Species and talking to the text a little bit to help with comprehension. So you want to have this article in front of you and be following along. Pandas, an endangered species. I know that the word endangered means that there's not a lot left. I'm going to write a little note here. Not a lot left. So this means they're in danger of going extinct. First paragraph. Did you know that pandas are the most critically endangered species on our planet? This little one here is called a footnote that tells me that somewhere in the article at the bottom it's going to tell me more about that quote. It's not at the bottom of this page. It's on the back. So you see the little footnote 1 here. It says this is where they got information from. In the early 20th century, I'm going to write a note here, 20th century is actually the 1900s. So it would be 1900 to 1999. In the early 20th century, pandas were quite popular because of their unique appearance. People hunted pandas for their soft fur and their hides. Some big game hunters even hunted pandas to bring home as trophies. This word game here is a multiple meaning word, and that doesn't mean games like you would play. That means game as in animals. So I'm going to write a note here, animals, some big animal hunters. Before the 1930s, few people outside of China had ever seen a panda. When hunters like Theodore Roosevelt brought back pandas from their trips, people began to become interested in capturing live pandas. Some wealthy game hunters captured baby pandas, sometimes by cruel means, and brought them back to the United States and other countries. People wanted to see these unusual and lovable bears. Between 1936 and 1946, 14 baby pandas had been captured and taken to zoos. The Chinese government wanted to protect pandas, so the Chinese government banned the hunting and capture of pandas. Although the laws helped somewhat, poachers continued to hunt pandas illegally. And poachers are hunters who hunt animals illegally. That means they're not supposed to be hunting them. All right, so if I'm thinking about the main idea of this paragraph, my main idea is that people became interested in seeing pandas, so they were hunted and captured. All right, so that's my main idea for that paragraph. The third paragraph. Although these laws, which laws was that? Oh, the Chinese government made laws that they were not supposed to do that anymore. Although these laws protected pandas somewhat from hunters, they did not protect pandas from other threats. At one time, pandas lived all over southern and eastern China, Vietnam, and Burma. However, today, pandas only live in a few mountainous areas in China. This shift came about when the population of China rapidly increased and people began to move into lands that had been inhabited by pandas. A few words here that I'm going to clarify. I'm going to put my finger where I stopped. The word increased, I'm going to put a little up arrow. That means it's getting larger. And the word inhabited means lived in. So if I look at that sentence again, the shift came about when the population of China rapidly increased, meaning a lot of people were, there were a lot more people than before, and people began to move into the lands that pandas had once lived in. With this influx of humans, and the word influx means a lot, the influx of humans, a lot of people are moving in. With this influx of humans, not only was the panda's natural habitat destroyed, but their major food supply, bamboo, was also being destroyed. The forests where the bamboo once grew were being cut down by logging companies, and the lowlands were being used for farming. Basically, humans forced pandas out of their homes and away from their food supply. I am going to underline, actually I'll double underline this sentence here, the last sentence of the paragraph, and I'm going to write MI next to it for main idea. So this is a main idea of that sentence, that humans are forcing them out of their homes and cutting them off from their food supply. I'm now on to the fourth paragraph. For several years, the Chinese government has been attempting to preserve land for the panda. I'm going to circle this word preserve. That means to save. So the Chinese government is trying to save land for the panda. They have 32 reserves set aside for these unique creatures. And reserves would be protected land. So that's the land they're trying to save for the pandas. The problem is that the reserves need to be connected so the pandas can move from one area to another. The life cycle of bamboo is such that it dies off every 20 years. When this happens, pandas need to be able to migrate to other areas where the bamboo is plentiful. This word migrate means to move. So I'm not going to write the main idea here, but overall it's saying they're having land that's protected, but they need all these areas connected so that when one area of bamboo dies off, the pandas can move from that area to a new area where there's now new bamboo for them to eat. And I'm on to the paragraph at the bottom. To compound bamboo's life cycle issues, that means adding to those issues, pandas have to eat massive amounts every day to survive because bamboo does not have much nutritional value. Some sources say that pandas eat 14 hours each day. Unlike other kinds of bears that store fat and hibernate during the winter, pandas do not store fat and do not hibernate. Because they have to eat so much to survive, they look for food and eat constantly. The word hibernate means to sleep for a very long period of time. It's usually most of winter. And I'm going to underline, double underline this last sentence. Again, that's saying our main idea of that paragraph, that they are constantly looking for food and constantly eating bamboo. Another reason pandas are scarce is because they do not reproduce rapidly like other animals do. All right, scarce means that there's not a lot of something. So there's not a lot of pandas. Because they do not reproduce rapidly means that they're not having enough babies. There's not enough panda babies being born. Female bears only have the opportunity to get pregnant once a year. In addition, females only give birth to 1 or 2 cubs at a time. The babies are tiny when they are born. They only weigh from 4 to 8 ounces and are only 6 to 8 inches long. That's the size of a stick of butter. They are born with no hair and are blind. At 5 to 7 weeks old, they open their eyes and begin to have the black and white markings of adult pandas. However, baby pandas cannot even stand up until they are about 4 months old. They are very dependent on their mothers to care for them. So this paragraph I'm going to write, the main idea is there are not a lot of baby pandas being born. And they are kind of helpless. So when the baby pandas are born, it's not like other animals where sometimes they kind of just get up and go. These baby pandas really need their moms for their first months of life. And then I'm on to this paragraph. To ensure, which means to make sure that pandas do not become extinct, which means gone forever. To make sure that pandas do not become extinct, pandas are brought to reserves where veterinarians watch them closely. In addition, Many attempts were made to breed pandas in captivity. After many failed attempts, more panda cubs are born in captivity today. So this is saying they tried to have the pandas have more babies when they were in captivity, which would be things like zoos or other places where they'd keep pandas. That wasn't successful at first, but they're getting better at it now, and more babies are being born in captivity. Veterinarians at the China Research and Conservation Center are continuing to make efforts to establish new and protected places for pandas to live. Researchers from China, the United States, and other countries continue to work together to learn about these unique animals. Cooperative caring efforts to save this species are essential if pandas are to thrive in the future. And this word thrive means healthy and doing really well. All right, so my last paragraph there is just saying we need to have people cooperating, we need efforts being put forth so that the pandas are able to continue being born, they're able to be healthy, and we're able to increase the population.